Hi, Rich. I wanted to ask you, I have passions just like everybody else, right? And do you think that there's a benefit in pursuing, well, obviously there would be a benefit, but do you think that it's something that I could do? Like, I have a political, I love politics. I could talk about it all day long.
Hmm.
And I was considering, since I live in New York City right now, going into Manhattan and potentially interviewing, maybe some kind of guerrilla style, exposing truth that is going on in the city at the moment with some kind of guerrilla style tactics. What do you think about that?
If that's what you want to do, why aren't you doing it?
It's a good question.
That's how simple that is. I mean, we've even kind of gone back and forth. You could create TikToks, Reels. If you truly want to do that, do it. What are you waiting for? Like a lot of people put all these barriers in front of them. And believe me, this is coming from a filmmaker. To make a film is brutal. Like, I mean, not only do you have to have the screenplay, you got to go cast it, you got to have financing, you got to shoot it, you got to edit it, you got to distribute it, you got to market it, all this shit. What you're telling me right now, I could go to your house right now, get in a car and go do it. It's nothing. No one could stop me. If you want to do that, why aren't you doing it? I think what happens too with a lot of people, I'm just going to tell you, even though you like to talk about politics, and I'm the last guy to ever talk about politics, I'm just not into politics. Even my own parents won't even talk to me about politics because it's just something I've never been interested in talking about. Not saying if you wanted to talk to me about it, I wouldn't listen to you. Of course, I would give you that respect, but I'm definitely not on any, that's just not on my radar. But someone like yourself, that couldn't sound simpler for me to do. Like, that sounds like I could just, like I said, go with you, start. The hardest thing a lot of times for people just to go do it. And in your case, this isn't like starting a company. You have a soap company, right? Most likely you had to create whatever you created. Then you had to maybe test market it. Then you had to create a website. Now you're a marketer. Think about all that compared to you saying, hey, Rich, I want to go here and just shoot some videos and question some people. I mean, with a phone, look what you can do. So my question to you is, why aren't you doing it?
That's a good question. I don't have a good answer. I don't have an answer at all, actually. I probably should just go and do it. I don't know what the resistance, where it's coming from. The travel is easy. That's not complicated. Yeah, no, there's no good reason.
Back to the confidence thing, we talk about that. A lot of times, as confident as we think we are to do certain things, we're not. And also, we like talking about wanting to do things instead of just doing them. Right? I mean, I'm just saying, it's not rocket science, a lot of this shit. Like, if you put it this way, if something else came up and said, hey, come into New York, you can make a quick $500, right? You'd get in your car immediately probably and go. Who would it, right? Let's go over there real quick, make a quick $500. How valuable is what you want to do to yourself? Is it worth 500, 1,000, whatever? I'm just saying, kind of put a price tag on it. It's probably worth a lot to you, maybe even more than money. It's passion. Then why aren't you doing it again? But it's funny how money will motivate you, but your own dreams and desires of approaching something or wanting to do something you're not doing. So I would say to a certain degree, is there a fear once you kind of go into that area? Because let's face it, you may lose a big part of your audience, especially say you have a soap company like you do. Are you afraid you're going to lose half your demographic there a little bit on one side or the other? Are you afraid you're going to offend people? Are you afraid maybe there'd be some issues when you post things online, you're going to get rejected, or they're going to block you, or you're going to get arrested? Or, I mean, is that part of it?
Well, there could be some retaliation for guerrilla style
Sure.
journalism, right? You might get punched in the face. Who knows?
Yeah. I did guerrilla style filmmaking, my first film, probably over 100 locations in Chicago. And believe me, I had issues. I was going to casinos illegally and shooting. They want to confiscate my camera, everything from me. I said, you ain't taking shit. Then I started to shoot on the sidewalks because they couldn't do anything to me. Still, the cops come. I got ticketed. I had all these issues, but you weren't going to stop me from doing what I wanted to do. That I can assure you. And they knew it. Once you kind of decide what you want to do, who's going to stop you but you? You will get more publicity, obviously, if you have an issue. But are you afraid that, one, it's going to maybe cost too much money? Say you get arrested or you're going to get a record or all that. And I get that. But You don't necessarily have to go that far. Let's call it for what it is. When I was doing guerrilla filmmaking, I knew what I could and couldn't do without permits to a certain degree. Yeah, I'd push the boundary, but I'm definitely not going to hurt myself financially or hurt others or put them in a bad situation. Same with you. You don't have to get nuts and run into the White House right now screaming with a microphone and you get arrested and you're on the news and you're an asshole and now you have all these, you're in jail. I mean, you know what I mean? You kind of know maybe what's right and wrong a lot of times and the way to handle yourself. So
Yeah, and obviously even with filmmaking, right? Public space versus private space where you can do the
yeah,
recording, and the same thing with journalism. I think, you have a right to do journalism and film people when you're in the public. But when you step into a building, you're no longer in the public, unless it's a public building, I guess. And even then, I'm not sure what exactly are the laws there.
when I was making films, this is way back in 99, the cameras are bigger. You couldn't hide shit.
Yeah,
Phones, I can do anything. If you go on my YouTube page, I videotaped hundreds of gyms. I walked in. What was interesting, the same franchise, one would throw me out because I want to do a video on their gym, show people what it looks like exactly. Same franchise, go to another one, they're loving me and want me to videotape them and interview their management team. The same company. How crazy is that? So my recommendation to you, or my thing to you, is don't be surprised. Sometimes you'll go somewhere and you think they don't want to have anything to do with you, but they do. They want a voice. Then the next one you may go and be like, oh, this place will be easy breezy or whatever. And then before you know it, you have a big issue with them. Never underestimate out there who wants to talk, who doesn't, who wants to be videotaped, especially in this day and age. And it's so simple with a phone. Let's call it for what it is. And you're doing live kind of things, so it doesn't have to be professionally edited. So again, back to me making films, you got lighting, you got audio, you got video, you got all these things, performances, people having to memorize their lines. In your case, it's you're the product. Go do what the hell you want to do. If you like it, keep it. You don't, bury it. But the
sure.
only way you're going to start learning is by doing it.
And now, like you were saying, with the cameras being so big, I could actually have either a hidden camera or something that I could wear, that would make it easier to film. Yes, you could do it with your phone, but something that's relatively cheap you could put on your person that's keeps your hands kind of free also. And
It's so cheap and easy. I was going to do I had one of my films that I actually optioned. It was caught on film. And this was really before the body cams were really good. But I wanted to do a film where guys go into this place with body cams to this haunted area or this place that has high violence. So my point being is, with technology now, not only is it cheaper, easier to use, it's much clearer. So the capabilities are endless for you, but you're kind of just sitting on your ass talking about it. I mean, if you think about it. So you probably spend a lot of money on things or do a lot of things that you don't necessarily want to do, instead of just getting in your car and go doing what you want to do and just at least experimenting.
Yeah, to the point of the clearness that you ever watch like videos from like the 80s and 90s and you're like, we used to watch that on TV.
Yeah.
It's so blurry.
Yeah. The audio, everything is like, you look at my film until really, I'd say the 2000s, when it really got really good. I mean, even go back to Real World and stuff on MTV and stuff, how things were shot in the cameras and everything compared to now. My phone's a better camera than than I spent 5-10 grand on my camera back in the 90s, late 90s and 2000s. That's insane. That's absolutely. My cousin had a studio once. He was a professional musician. He has his own studio. Then I brought a certain camera. What was it? A PD-1 250 or whatever the hell it was. And they had an incredible mic on there. My point being is, he said the mic that was on this camera was better than almost any mic he had in his studio at that point in time, because that's how far technology is going. The difference was how many thousands of dollars he had to spend, and it still was comparable. So anyways, we could go on the whole thing regarding that.
The bottom line.
But listen, if you got to go do what you want to do, and don't let anybody else convince you otherwise. Most people talk you in and out and in and out. And again, what the fuck are they doing for you?
Yeah.
If they're not doing it with you, what are they? Right.
So I think that I in theory, and it might just be that in theory that I really want to do that. I think it would be fantastic on multiple levels. But there are some drawbacks to it, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe it's just a theoretical thing that I want to do, and maybe I don't actually want to go out and do it because for a number of reasons, whatever it is. I have to think about that a little more.
Yeah, of course. I used to have tons of people that said, I want to be an actor. I used to go then learn how to act. Go learn how to act. Don't think, yeah, okay, go downtown Chicago, go to New York, go in the theater district, go to LA, go do whatever you want to do. Talking about it means nothing. I don't care. And if you don't know how to market yourself to get in front of the right people, but you got to know what you're doing. And it's going to be a long process. You may have to take classes. You're going to have to study. You're going to have to learn a lot of different things on how to act with different people, different character, all these things. We could get into that. You know, same with you. If you want to do it, you got to start somewhere, but maybe you don't have the people maybe behind you to like kind of push you or expose you. See, a lot of a lot of friends we have are always like, you have the friends that are like, that's a great idea. We should, blah, blah, blah. Nothing gets done. Then you have the other ones that are kind of holding you back. I just did a podcast where it's like, I wouldn't do that. I'm scared. If that happens, you're going to end up in jail. You know, you got that too. Right. But then where do you come into play? Like, where's your, a lot of times I say in our heads, we have like three people. We got the one that says, let's go do this. And then the other one that's kind of like, oh, no, put the brakes on. Hold on. Let's slow down. We got to figure this out. And the third one comes in and says, hey, you two, shut up. Let's do it. Let's just go. Right. Let's go. I wrote that in a screenplay once where he's in the mirror and he's arguing himself. He's like, he says this, and then the mirror says something back. Because a lot of times we're arguing with ourselves, and then a background audio comes in and goes, "Oh, do you shut the fuck up and do what you got to do? Let's go." Like, you know what I mean? Because that's where a lot of people get caught. You don't know which way to go. You want to go do it, but you don't. And you think about your family and your friends, and then you're thinking about, well, maybe I'm moving. So why would I even start this here? You got all these things in your head that are like, right. Well, you could do that anywhere though. So start. Just start. And if you don't start, you never want to do it.
What is that? Martin Luther King Jr.'s saying, you don't have to see the whole staircase. You just have to take the first step.
Yeah. You may go do this and hate it. You may be like, I went there, I paid for parking, or I had to take a train there, this and happened. I was talking to people I didn't even like it. And then it's over. Then you move on to your next thing. You may go there and fall in love with it and say, this is what I was meant to be. One day you'll be like, this is what I want to do.
True.